Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
The last of 3 consecutive storm systems is making its way through San Diego County right now, bringing in more rain, cold temperatures, and the possibility of snow to the mountains. Good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson.
And I'm Lindsay Pena. We're seeing scattered showers as thousands hit the roadways for the evening commute. We have a team of reporters covering all angles for you. We begin with 10 News weathercaster Melissa Messiha.
Yeah, we showed you what we're dealing with right now in our Doppler. Let's go ahead and zoom on in where we can see the scattered showers as, like we said, many of you are unfortunately starting to drive in this. If we move up to the North County, we could see here the 15 is wet. Looks like the I-5 up in the North County by Oceanside getting a little bit of a break. Now, if we move on over to La Jolla, right there by the Golden Triangle, the 5, the 805, that's where we're seeing some of the heavier cells, waiting to see if this cell right here is going to make its way onshore. So along the coast by Ocean Beach, we are watching that one here for you. Do keep in mind, we do have a flood advisory in effect here for the next hour and a half or so. So we do have the possibility of flooding in places like Chula Vista, Oceanside, Carlsbad, El Cajon, Vista, and National City. National City has already dealt with some problems over the last few weeks with some of the last storms. Now, we do have a winter storm warning in effect here. This is until Wednesday. We could see snow above 6,000 feet and possibly dropping to 4,000 feet. So, Steve and Lindsay, it looks like places like Julian, Ranchita, we could see some snow there.
A lot to come there. All right, thank you, Mel. There are concerns of more flooding and damage with this third and final round of rain that's hitting San Diego County. Our anchor, Vanessa Van Hefty, is live near Fashion Valley Mall, a known trouble spot every time it rains. So, Vanessa, we're seeing more problems everywhere.
Yes, Steve, and as you know, this area is prone to flooding, designed to flood, and you can see here it has really picked up. We have watched that current pick up quite significantly just in the last hour as the rainfall is really starting to come down. We are getting a little bit of a break in the action, sprinkling right now, but city crews have been out here all day checking to make sure that no one has gotten past the barriers here due to the potential danger out here. We also headed up north to Del Mar while there was another bluff collapse over the weekend. We checked on it in the last hour and we could see chunks of earth literally sliding down with all of this rainfall. Lifeguards there telling us loose ice plants fell onto the track Saturday, triggering a bluff collapse and shutting down the tracks between Sorrento Valley and Solana Beach for a little over 2 hours while engineers assessed the safety out there. There have been several recent bluff collapses in that same area in Del Mar, which have really unsettled neighbors there. There are some solutions in the pipeline, but for now that area remains very unstable. And there's a lot of concern every time that there is a rain event. This recent collapse, though, according to North County Transit, not as significant as the one that happened back in December. As for this area, this road's going to stay closed for the next couple days at least. The current picking up here, and this area has even gotten wider in the last hour since we've been out here. Reporting live in Mission Valley, Vanessa Van Hefty, 10 News.
Thank you, Vanessa. It is not just another round of dark clouds looming tonight, but also questions about liability after a massive tree came crashing down on cars in Balboa Park. And 10 News reporter Natay Holmes discovered there could be more cause for concern with the surrounding trees.
The taller they get, the easier they fall.
Crews were up early this morning clearing the big mess after this eucalyptus tree came crashing down Saturday.
Well, the wind may have issued the coup de grace on the tree, but the tree had to be weak in the beginning in order for the wind to blow it down.
Wayne Tyson is a former city parks manager who used to oversee Balboa Park in the 70s. He says there are other trees in the park whose roots look similar to the one that fell.
It will fail someday, but no one can tell you when.
The city tells us the trees are checked weekly and sometimes even daily.
The managers have to make tough calls on which tree needs to be taken out, which tree needs to be trimmed.
After the big fall, car owners are left with the question of what to do next.
I came out and just saw this massive tree across several cars. There was a crane here and they were lifting it, and I just kept thinking, no, that's not me.
I asked city officials if the city is responsible for a tree crashing on top of cars. They say this is considered an unpredictable act of nature. The The city says they will offer an investigation if someone files a claim, but they advise them to start with their personal auto insurance carrier.
No question in my mind at all. It's city responsibility.
Nate Holmes, 10 News.
Now, the city says people should allow 45 days for them to process and investigate a claim.
Another downpour in Malibu today flooded Pacific Coast Highway, and that sent those mud flows into neighborhoods. Those flows also prompted street closures, and officials say the flooding is no longer expected to pose a threat in the Woolsey fire burn area, but neighbors say they're still very concerned about this. More rain is expected tomorrow, too. Heavy snow in the Sierra Nevada mountains is making for dangerous driving conditions as well. It's also led to some road and school closures in California. State transportation officials say that slippery whiteout conditions are affecting mountain passes between Sacramento and Reno. It's making driving nearly impossible in some areas. Look at that. Traffic was held up earlier today after several cars crashed because of a jackknife trailer truck. Many drivers say they've had some close calls on the roads.
We skidded once when we got off the freeway, and when we were coming back in, we skidded, almost hit the sidewall.
Caltrans says another 2 to 5 feet of snow could fall across Sierra Nevada through Tuesday. And you can track the weather as it moves through your neighborhood by downloading our free mobile app. Just go to the App Store and search 10 News.
New developments one day after a small plane crashed into a home in Orange County where the residents were hosting a Super Bowl party. Today, NTSB investigators returned to the scene. As reporter Mark Cota-Robles explains, the small plane encountered some sort of mid-air issue shortly after takeoff.
These were the moments immediately following yesterday's deadly plane crash in Yorba Linda, a home on Crest Knoll Drive engulfed in flames. 4 people in that home were killed. Today, neighbors who witnessed the crash are reliving those moments, like Dave Elfer, who heard the plane coming down.
There was like an engine revved up to like 20,000 RPM. There was unbelievable high noise and an explosion.
When he ran outside, this is what he saw, part of an engine and propeller across the street.
Just missed our house, hit the street, bounced on the street and hit their house.
The pilot was also killed in the crash. His cockpit and mostly intact fuselage landed in another home's backyard.
There's a few witness statements out there that they said the wings fell off first and then the explosion followed because probably fuel on board.
Today, the lead federal investigator is just beginning to document the large debris field impacting several streets. She also says the dramatic photos and videos posted to social media usually are helpful to their investigation.
Because there are so many people around, so many witnesses, we are getting all this information that if an accident happened on the side of a hill, I wouldn't have, because we wouldn't have any witnesses.
Today, dealing with the aftermath has been emotional for some longtime residents.
It's just so hard for everybody. I feel so sorry for those people. I mean, it's, you know, anything can happen. That could have hit any one of these houses. That whole street, did you see the street here with all the debris in the middle of the street?
That was Mark Cota-Robles reporting. The pilot of that plane has been identified as 75-year-old Antonio Pastini. He is a retired Chicago area police officer and a restaurant owner in Carson City, Nevada. Pastini was flying solo at the time. The NTSB says a preliminary crash report will be available in about 2 weeks.
Well, one of San Diego County's most notorious killers will remain in prison. Today, the California Supreme Court upheld the conviction and death sentence for David Westerfield. He was found guilty of killing 7-year-old Danielle Van Dam in 2002. She was reported missing from her Sabre Springs home. Her body was later found badly decomposed along Dehesa Road in Harbison Canyon. Westerfield is currently on death row at San Quentin State Prison. His legal team can now ask the U.S. Supreme Court to review today's decision.
Right now, San Diego is in the focus in the fight over how to pay for border security. 3 Republican lawmakers are wrapping up a tour of our border with Mexico.
10 News reporter Rachel Bianco is live in Otay Mesa with the information that will help determine whether our government stays open.
Lindsay and Steve, those lawmakers actually just arrived, and we're going to hear from them in about 15 minutes or so. We're just off the Otay Mesa inspection checkpoint, and you can see part of the wall off in the distance. This is actually the last stop on a tour that began yesterday in Texas. The group toured the border near McAllen, Texas yesterday, and then they were in El Paso this morning. The 3 Republican lawmakers are part of a bipartisan committee trying to come up with an agreement on how to pay for border security and immigration. Republicans want more than $5.5 billion for a wall or some sort of additional fencing. Democrats say they're okay with funding border security, but not a wall. The president set a deadline of February 15th to come up with a deal or possibly risk another government shutdown. After touring the border in El Paso, the lawmakers told reporters it is clear the agents need more resources.
It's wall plus, physical barriers, an increased number of boots on the ground, and in facilities and technology. We can't underestimate the technology.
I don't know anybody that doesn't want secure borders, but we want to have intelligent, humane borders. And the wall is not the answer. The wall is not going to keep anybody safer. It's a message of hate, and the whole world is watching.
And you can see that group of lawmakers is here now, along with the Border Patrol agents who took them on that tour. This was their first time inspecting this part of the border, and we're going to hear from them coming up new at 6. Reporting live near Otay Mesa, Rachel Bianco, 10 News.
Thank you, Rachel. Meanwhile, Mayor Kevin Faulconer has a new community plan to help immigrants and new citizens transition to live here in San Diego. More than 800,000 immigrants live in San Diego. 37% of the county's entrepreneurs are foreign-born. The plan was made with input from local residents and businesses. Community leaders came out to Liberty Station this morning to outline the main points.
Creating an inclusive economy has been a regional buzzword, but what does that really mean for all of us? It's pretty simple, actually. For us, it's the belief that immigrants give more than they take.
The blueprint has 20 recommendations, including making a new position in city leadership for an Office of Immigrant Advancement.
President Trump is expected to call for unity and optimism in his State of the Union address coming up tomorrow. A major topic he is expected to address is immigration and the border wall, as we've been talking about. White House officials say his speech will highlight infrastructure, trade, and prescription drug pricing as areas where the parties could work together.
He's going to talk about how much the economy has strengthened since he came in. He's going to talk about the most recent jobs reports.
But the president is also expected to face criticism from both sides of the aisle. His speech is finally happening after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi revoked his invitation to deliver the address last week during the latest government shutdown. It'll be his first time speaking in the House chamber controlled by Democrats. And you can watch President Trump's State of the Union speech tomorrow night at 6 o'clock right here on ABC 10, followed by a special edition of 10 News.